Hello, and welcome to the next exciting episode of Cyberpunk Solo Play. Whee! In the last episode, we didn't get very far. We almost didn't even pull up this book. We actually generated our characters using the Edge Runner method in the core text, and that would be Cyberpunk Red. Now, it's worth going through that process and even seeing that first episode, the prologue, if you will, because it's useful to get a sense of kind of how the game system is. And as much as I love Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk Red, it's a little scattered in terms of its data and information. So it does require some going back and forth. And we've done that. This single player mode is a tweak on the actual gameplay itself. And we're going to actually start with that. We have our cast of characters. These are the Edge Runners who are going to be in the first part of our adventure. They may or may not survive, but we shall see. We have Driver, our player 1. He's a nomad, and he will be leading this excursion. We've got the Hound, who is a rocker boy. Well, Rockergirl. And she's joining this adventure as well. We've got Obsidian, which is our Netrunner. And finally, we have Final, our Solo. She is the final word in ending life. And so to begin with our cast of characters, we have to compose kind of the beginning of our adventure. We need to set the scene, which is Night City. Night City is a very specific place. It is a very nasty place, and but one full of potential glory. I want to draw your attention to the map of Night City. We begin in the year 2045 as the city of Night City is dealing with the time of the Red. At some point, a nuke was dropped in where the hot zone is, and it has created a bit of a fallout. Now, in this map, which I actually quite like, there's a lot of places where our adventure could begin. Now, we need to figure out how these guys know each other, where they live, and so on. Why don't we start with the easiest thing, which is where they live. In the core text, it mentions that starting characters begin in a cargo container with a kibble lifestyle, and that their first month's rent is paid. With that in mind, each of our 4 characters are going to be expected to pay 1,100 Eurobucks by the next month. So, cargo container communities where they live. We have a few options, and I'm not particularly fussed on where we're going to go, so why don't we, for them all, roll a 2d6. We're going to use 2d6 from some of our players, as maybe they have picked it. And that would be 11. So, East Cargo Village on the city's edge in Santo Domingo. Alright, so Santo Domingo we have to find, which would be right there. In the context of this place, of all of Night City, we find our heroes in Santo Domingo, on the city's edge. So, possibly to the south. We're going to put that there. And so, let's write this down. Alright. So, this is our cast of characters. Now, where they live, we determined. Alright, cool. So, our cast of characters live there in the East Cargo Village, Santo Domingo. Now, this is not a great place, and it's kind of expensive. Generally speaking, we start with about 500 Eurobucks to go with and shop, and I didn't do a lot of shopping, maybe to cheat a little bit, but as we start there, we are near our goal. Let's take a look at these lists. In the solo play table, we're generating these things from lists, and we're going to be living in this book quite a lot in this playthrough, so bear with me. I was trying to think if there is a sort of way we could generate relationships here. Random relationships, 51. With our four people, we need to determine kind of what their statuses with each other. Now we got to go back through their histories quick and find, we got driver. Seeing as he's the leader, we're going to try and figure out how everyone relates to him. Hound. Hound is a Rockergirl. A lot of tragic love affairs didn't work out. A very street artist, guerrilla performance. Let's let the dice guide us if we can. We have a D100. All right, the D100 for Hound. 23. Child doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're gonna re-roll. We're kind of looking for a few different things in a few different areas of this. So let's try 52. What does 52 provide us? A family friend? Family friend is interesting. Family friend. Great. Next we have Obsidian. What is the relationship with Obsidian? Netrunners, if you remember, Obsidian is a little bit isolated. Just crack system for fun, had an old partner. You know what? We're going to use what we generated. We're going to cash in on that early. I think Obsidian was an old partner. Our final person here. What are they? Local vigilante for hire. 23. Again, child doesn't make any sense. Former friend, ex-lover. We're going with 57, huh? That actually works great. Ex-lover. Huzzah, we did it. Now, to be clear, tragic love affairs, lover vanished. We're going to go with that. The lover vanished in some sort of way, just left. And I think now what would be good is to have her have returned. It is a fraught reunion at the start of our campaign here, and they're speaking to each other. I mean, obviously Driver is kind of become this de facto leader, but we have a nice little picture here. So we need a job, and the rent ain't gonna pay itself, so we need to establish what the day is. So let's decide that today is the 5th of November. So we need a hook or something to begin with. Normally, if you want to do the beat chart, which is mentioned in here, you have a few options. There's some story hooks like lost memory, things like that. But this is the first thing. This is the first thing we're doing, man. Seems simple enough. We need work, and we must find a job to pay the cargo rent. Given the relationship of all these folks, they live fairly close together in the cargo container over in Santo Domingo. Driver has kind of spearheaded this thing, and Hound, Obsidian, and Final are very interested in just kind of glomming on. There is some tension between Final and Driver. What can you do? But the need for money is way more important, because Santo Domingo is not necessarily the nicest of areas. If you'll look, just a sense of things, it's not too far away from the combat zone, but really everywhere in Night City can be a combat zone. So we need a job. We need to discover if we have any connections. You know, as the day starts, Driver is like, what do we do? What can we do to get ourselves some work? Let's troll our backstories a little bit. Our Netrunner Obsidian does work for a local fixer. Let's try to figure out what that might entail, shall we? So what we need is to roll on our table to find a guy. The people of Night City. So we're going to try and figure out who this fixer is. Obviously, Driver, Final, and Hound are a bit skeptical. Oh, you know a guy? You really know a guy? Great. I bet he sucks, but... and so, let's take a look. Why don't we find some actual fixers? D10. 1D10. All right. Whoop. Oh, that would be a 9. Who is this fixer that Obsidian knows? Willy Maze, a freelance street marketing guru and seller of random goods. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, and so let me explain. There are two forms of creating, kind of setting up your scenario that we're going to be doing. The primary one is your beat chart tracker. And that's kind of overall. Now that's kind of lead our story. And for the various missions, we'll have details. And this is more top-level stuff that we're going to figure out as we go. So in terms of the who's hiring, we've got Willy Maze. We're looking for... I think we need a layup today. Today is not very good. Maybe Driver and Final got into a fight or something. And there was just some strife. I mean, you are cramped in a cargo container. So let's do an easy job. We want a layup. Probably the expectation is 500 Euro bucks. So then we're expecting Willy Maze to offer something that is 500 EB. We meet this Willy Maze, freelance street marketing guru and seller of random goods. Probably at at a burger joint, maybe. Something fairly typical, fairly chain, very greasy, definitely not up to code. We barely fit in the torn out seats that look like they were stolen from another restaurant. It is not a great place, but this is where Willy Maze is, and this is where the jobs are for now. And with skepticism, Driver agrees to this. And so we have Driver and his gang of Netrunners coming into this place to approach Willy Maze, looking for work. Obsidian greases the wheels here a little bit. These guys are cool. They're with me, sort of thing, right? And that whole deal is set aside. Generating missions and plots. So we have a mission here. We are on a D100. So for our missions, let's let the leader roll for this stuff. 36. We need to infiltrate a location. Willy Maze has this idea to, we need to sneak in somewhere. Now we must roll on the rest of these. First of all, we're going to roll our D6. 1. We need to infiltrate a location for a corporate high-tech item or MacGuffin. So we're going to roll a D10. 4, and we're basically going down the list. What this might entail, this corporate high-tech item. What do we want? What does Willy Maze want? Besides a ShamWow or whatever that product is. We roll a 2. Biomedical data. Oh, interesting. What's the location we need to infiltrate? That would be 37. I don't know if you can see it or not. 37, corporate security office. Aha. So, we have this job. We need to infiltrate a corporate security office and grab biomedical data, which is probably locked away, which probably means we definitely need our Netrunner for this. We're going to write this down, summarize it for ourselves, keep good notes. So let's start answering some questions here. We've figured out, well, who is hiring? And what's the mission? Now we need to define the focus. So we need to know who, what, when, where, and why. Do we have a who in mind for this? Who's the data that we're taking? To further refine our goal, what this mission is, Driver is going to try to get to brass tacks here. And ask, like, well, what's the deal? What information are we trying to take? Roll it with a... Kimengumi. At the mention of Tiger Claws, Final's all like, heck no, we're not doing that, and has to be convinced. But she comes around, because we need the money. And this is supposedly going to be pretty easy, because we're not actually stealing from the Tiger Claws directly, but we are going to be stealing biometric data from one of their top officials of their security firm. Or one of their security firms. Classic. Stretching the bounds of Corpo, my man. Let's see. Where a corporate security office? Old Japantown and Kabuki. Okay, so let's take a look here. Kabuki is on the north side. Old Japantown is closest, so we might go there. Because we're over here in Santo Domingo, and we need to get all the way over here to Japantown. So we're going to do that, I think. When at night, Driver has this idea that a lot of weaknesses in terms of security here happen at that turn, the dead hour. Not at night when it's most secure, around like 11, 12, 1. But I'm thinking like 4, 3, 4 in the morning on the edge, pushing closer to 5. I think that's when we're gonna try to infiltrate this thing. because that's when most will be tired. And if there's a scuffle, we can get out without too much fuss. When, where, who, what, where, when, why, and how. We don't know why and how. Sneak in. We don't know if there's a twist. So I guess the first question we have to ask ourselves as we go, and we're going to be dealing with this thing called the Oracle, which we ask check questions, stuff as like, can these things happen? And what's the probability of those? As we leave Willy Maze to his gross, awful, disgusting burgers, is we're going to stake out the place. We're going to go over there, and we're going to wait. All right, so our first question, when we get there and we're watching, hanging out, is there a guard presence here? We can be pretty certain of that. Probability is certain, so we're rolling our first closed question, which is an oracle question. Is there a security presence? 72. Yes. Another question we can ask is this guard presence formidable? In our case, it's going to be unlikely. So let's roll again. Hound's going to start checking some things out herself. So it is formidable. Interesting. We find guards there. And now, unfortunately for us, the guard presence is actually quite difficult. We're going to try to find out if there is a back way to sneak into the place, or if there's some point of ingress, or some way to not have to get inside. Maybe there's some connection point, some way we can use our Netrunner to have a connection. We're going to look for any weaknesses in the outer defense of this building, which this building strikes me as, I mean, it is a security firm, a third-party security firm hired out by the Tiger Claws. The formidable guard presence is probably a Tiger Claw presence, but these guys aren't like the main force, right? So then there's a chance. And I think that chance is, I don't know, I think it's 50-50 on the probability here. And we're going to have our Netrunner, Obsidian, go around, kind of try and uncover, if it's possible, 52. Yes, with complication. Okay, so what do we have here? We're looking for some sort of way to sneak in and hack into the system. Hack into the system, man. Now we need to do ourselves an investigation check. The following technique offers a flexible, scalable framework. Okay, set a goal. We are looking for any sort of point of either entrance, ingress into the building, or we are going to try to find some way to not have to go in. Like, we're kind of looking for either a sneaky way in or a way to get our Netrunner to just hack on into this thing. And I think that'll be a simple investigation. So 3 skill checks, investigation tracker. We're going to seek ingress point or hackable data port. Okay, so hackable data port. Number of checks, that is 3 checks. Check 1, let's set a DV, a difficulty value. Now in Cyberpunk, you've got a few different ones. You've got simple, everyday, difficult, professional, heroic, incredible, legendary. And I think probably going to be difficult because it's a smaller building with a lot less distraction. Okay, we're going to use perception. Perception seems to be kind of the easiest skill to go with. So Hound is going to make her effort for it. Her perception is 9. She's got a total of 9. So the way skill checks are rolled in Cyberpunk Red will be a stat plus skill plus a d10. Now, I've already done the work in the character sheet of adding the stat and skill level. So 4 plus 5, 9. So the total is 9. We're going to add a plus 9 to our d10 roll. Now, Hound is going to do this. So her d10 roll, and it's going to be a difficult one. So 15 is the thing that hits. 6 plus 9 is 15. That just does it. So Hound just does it. And that is a success. We marked it 1 success. So there's 2 more checks. Now, because of this, she's just looking. So the next check then, we've locked her in on this process with everyone else not too far away. She's looking around, but she's noticed. I mean, obviously, this kind of more bohem street artist, Rockergirl, is going to be noticed, not necessarily for fame, because she is not famous. She doesn't have any reputation to speak of, but she is looking a little suspicious. We have 2 ways we can go about this. She can attempt stealth to not be noticed, to be much more casual, or it may be better luck to use personal grooming. And we're going to use the personal grooming in a very specific way. She is groomed as a bohem rocker girl might be. She's very artistic. She's got a flair about her. And she's going to use this as an opportunity to look for vibes, man. And look for a place to perform. And her performance is very street level, guerrilla level performance stuff. So we're going to deal with that. So let's take we're going to do a personal grooming check, which now we have a 7 on the stat, plus 5 level of that skill, plus a bonus with all her cybernetics, which means she has a 14 plus D10. I think we'll rock it here. This might not even be needed, but you never know. Let's do the D10. Here we go. D10 plus 14. D10, so we rolled a 4, so that's 18. So not bad. So our second check then that's a success. So what we have here is she's going around the perimeter, looking around, checking for ladders, checking the integrity of the ladders, climbing up there, poking around. She sees stuff, but she's acting very suspicious. So you have some passerbys, and maybe even a guard comes out there, and he's all like, "Hey, you buzz off! What you doing?" And she plays to her rocker girl status here, and she's like, "I'm looking for the coolest place, the chillest place, my choom. We are going to be performing. I think I'm going to do some new street art." And kind of gets a little flirty with it too. As part of her vibe, her personal grooming, she has this thing going on, and she's able to talk the guard to be like, okay, whatever. He starts to see her pretty much as a harmless, like, pest. And just like, okay, well, you know what? Shoo. But she's going to take this opportunity to ask a question of the guard who has got her attention. The next check is going to be a conversation. And with a conversation check, what she's going to try and do is just be friendly and ask what the deal is with this place. There's the vibes. What's going on? We've set the difficulty here, kind of across the board. This is difficult. Now, I think she can pull it off because we do have, again, having a rocker girl with us is going to be very clutch in this moment. So let's take a look. We have to roll ourselves a conversation skill, which for the Hound, conversation is a plus 11 to our D10 roll. 13, which is a failure. Interesting. So, unfortunately for us, she's not able to get that information, and what ends up happening is this guard isn't liking her vibe, and he tells her to buzz off again, and he's brandishing weapon, and he's you know what? Maybe we need to teach this person a lesson. At this point, I think there's a complication. We need a complication. So we're going to look for either a cliffhanger or a development in this. As things are starting to go wrong, the rest of us who are backed away, Driver, Final, and Obsidian, are like, oh no, okay, this could be bad. So we're going to roll at D6. And the D6 will be on our rocker girl's thing. She's been sniffing around like a hound, and this might come to bite her in the keister. What do we got? So, if it comes up odds, go to the cliffhangers table. If it comes up evens, go to the developments table. So, Cliffhanger table, page 74. Oh, ho, 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 ho. So for cliffhanger, what do we got here? Now this isn't quite like D&D, where for the most part, multiple, like the successes stack, and you can just kind of have a momentum of goodness. Any wrong turn can change the course of history for our players. So we need to roll a D100. 39. So we are going to have a confrontation, which is a good thing because now we get a chance to use the solo play combat system here. So now we need to bring in our quick and dirty combat tracker. So in our game, this solo game, we have the combat is a little bit different, and they call it quick and dirty combat. Now, if this were maybe something a little bit more higher stakes, and that there were a more varied series of enemies, we might actually go to grid. And that's a plan in the future to do that sort of thing. But for now, again, we want this to be a simple job. This is supposed to be a 500 Eurobuck job to get us paid before the end of the month. And now that's 500 Eurobucks across all, like, for us all to split. It's not going to be a lot. This is supposed to be kind of a jump in, go, and what have you. And already, at the very start, we have serious complications going on. Just in exploring the place, all we're here to do is find biometric data on some top security head that we don't know anything about in this security troop, Kimingumi, who outsources from Tiger Claws. You see how messy it is? This is already a very sus job for us. We've got Hound, Driver. Okay, so we know who our edge runners are. We've got our party, Hound, Driver, Obsidian, and Final. Hound is kind of at the scene and causing the problems. The guard, this probably as Tiger Claw himself, is bringing others out to him, and the rest are moving in quickly to join the fray. Let's see what kind of mooks we're going to be fighting against here. I honestly think we're going to be dealing with some bodyguards. There was one guard outside. So as we set the scene, there was one guard outside, and in this particular case, he calls 3 of his buddies from inside who are taking a break. They were on lunch, if you will. So we have 3 bodyguards that we're going to refer to in our notes. There's the 4 of us. So we have, I've just named them random things, Yas, Teppel, Moot, Dork, and we're going to see what else this sheet says here. Quick intro, know your combatants. Are any of them hardened? No, none of them are hardened. So let's see if we're hardened in any sort of way. This may take a second. It turns out none of us are hardened. But we're close. We have a pretty good series of skills. And the thing I'm looking at as the criteria here, based on the book, is a ref of 8 with an evasion. Yeah, you can read it. Will or body of 16 or higher. There's also a dex of 8 combined with a move of 8. No, see, we don't quite hit the hardened category, so we're not going to fuss with it. Again, this is just a simple encounter. We kind of goofed by sending in the flashy rocker boy. We sent the bard in to deal with the guard, and that didn't work so well, did it? That's pretty stupid of us. But you know what? We are not very seasoned at this. So we need to make a tactics check. Let's see who we can use for our tactics check. You know what? We have a solo here who's gonna be our tactics check. She has a 13 versus the enemy. We need to have our enemy. We are actually going to use our Cyberpunk dice for enemies. And we're going to, this is the opposed tactics check. Okay, so for this tactics check, as the guards are showing up, we're in very abstract territory here. So we're going to have to kind of visualize this, if you will. Imagine that in Old Japan Town, it's a very tucked away security firm, very strip mall type, almost the store equivalent of the guest house behind a small house. So tucked out of the way, but not so out of the way that it's private. So for the tactics check, we have 9, which with Final's tactics, that's a 9 plus 13. That's hella big. And bodyguards, it doesn't look like they have skills in tactics, so it's a straight D10. So they got 3. They lose so specifically. Now what we have to do next is count the attacks. The next step is counting how many attacks each side gets to make. We're including rules for adding. Okay, let's play this out. Hound gets how many attacks? 1 per member present. So that's 1 so far. Not hardened. Does she have speedwear? To my mind, no one actually has speedwear. So she's got 1. She has 1 attack. And then she won the tactics check. So that's 2. So she gets... Final gets 2. Now, I guess what's not clear to me, and I'm going to make a ruling on this until I'm corrected. So let's look at the rule here. It says, your Edgerunner crew gains the attack checks as follows. 1 per member present. That includes helpers. 1 for each member who is hardened. 1 for each member who has speedwear. And 1 if a member of the crew won the tactics check. I'm going to assume that because a member of the crew won the tactics check, that everyone gets that 1. So then Hound would be 2, Driver 2, and Obsidian 2. So then that would be 1, 1, 1, 1. It's not looking good for our guards, but we may have to beat feet, and that may be where we end our particular adventure today, because we need to re-strategize how we're going to go about this, especially with information. Hound did get some information, but we have to see if we survive. Make an attack check for each combatant present. You choose the skills and weapons to use. So now it's time for pencil time, which means we're going to do some sketching as we do this thing. So we need to make attacks. And then what we're going to do is list the results of the attacks checks made by your crew in one column, and the attacks made opposite. Start comparing highest to highest, and so forth. Let's square up and see what we got here. So the 2 attacks. Hound, what are we doing? I'm going to be honest here. I don't know if we want to be firing a gun. I think we're going to do melee. For this, we're going to use a lead pipe. She's just going to... Hound, to start with, is going to brandish her lead pipe twice and make the 2 attacks that she has from this. So let's do that. D10 for the Hound, plus 12. 15. We're going to do it again. She gets 2 attacks against these guards. 13. Now it's Driver's turn. Driver. Oh, Driver, we need you. He's going to use his melee sword. We're going to do that. Melee weapon, that's 10, so 19. Again. 18. Obsidian. What's Obsidian going to use? Honestly, he has a handgun. I think he is going to use it, but he's going to try to get closer to the enemy. So we're going to do the handgun for that. That would be 11. 21. 14. And final. Final. My goodness. What do we got here for final? Final is also going to use melee, because the gunfire is going to be the problem. We're going to have to talk to Obsidian about that later. But melee, 12 for final. Let's do it. So 21. And 20. Not too shabby across the board for their attacks. And now for the enemy, Yas, Teppel, Moot, and Dork, they're going to use... Honestly, they've got guns. Let's see. They're going to use fairly heavy pistols. So what we've got here is 1 attack across the board, and they're all going to use their pistols. So we're going to make this fairly easy on ourselves. So 13, All right, I'm going to fill this out. All right, so now we're going to take these numbers that I've generated here, and we're supposed to kind of then now place them, lining them up highest to highest down the line in a sort of like war sort of way. So let's do... I'm just going to start filling this out, and we're going to speed through this, and I'll explain it in a second. All right, here's what we got. So we have Obsidian, Final, Driver, Hound, Obsidian, Hound. In terms of the order of our attacks, we've now organized them by their highest to lowest numbers. Now we have to do that same exact thing to our mooks, our bodyguards at this Kimengumi security office. Okay. So to continue this, we've got Moot, Yas, Dork, Moot, Tepple, Dork, Yas, Tepple. Good stuff. As we're descending this, I think we're going to be okay. Complications aside, I think we're going to be all right. Let's arbitrate this out. Now, according to the rules, now we place the results of the attack checks made by your crew into one column, the results of the attack checks in the highest, and so forth. If they're capable of dodging bullets, which I don't think any of us are capable of dodging bullets. Count the total number of hits per side. As always, ties go to the defender. Whoever scores the most hits wins the fight. So whoever wins makes the hits. Let's go through it. Obsidian versus Moot's attack. Hit. Final versus Yas. Hit. Final versus Dork. Hit. Driver versus Moot. Hit. Driver versus Tepple. Hit. Hound versus Dork. Hit. Hit. And tie goes to the defender. So in this case, defender would be them. So Hound gets one hit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. So 7 hits to the enemy and 1 hit to us. So now we have to arbitrate the hit. So Hound actually does get hit. And we're going to say that Tepple is the one who was there confronting her. So they're going to have that immediate clash, and he's going to be able to get one of his attacks off, and he's going to get a gunshot against her body. So let's roll that attack. Let's roll the damage for that, actually. That would be... What is the bodyguard's damage? 4d6. Okay. All right. Let's count it out. 1. That's 6. 13. 20. 23 damage. So Hound is going to take 23 damage. Now, there is some stopping power. So what we need to do is look at that. Because she's got light armor jack underneath her bohem clothes as the bullets riddle through. So for 23 damage, let's look it up. All right. Still getting a sense of things. But here's what, for taking damage, just as a reference for the material, since I had to look it up, your attacker rolls the damage for their attack. Subtract your armor's SP in that location. We're dealing with body. Subtract any remaining damage from your hit points. If you end up taking any damage, your armor on that location is still ablated, reducing its SP by 1 until it's repaired. Okay. So, not good for Hound, but could have been worse. So let's roll that. That's 23 damage minus 11. 12. So we take 12 damage. All right. So Hound takes about 28 damage, and now her SP is 10 as her armor jack takes some damage. Not bad, not great. Hound did get hurt. And at the end of this fight, the way I kind of see it is the guards had to be killed. I think Driver and Final were going in thinking, okay, let's keep this quiet. And that idiot Obsidian, he only has a weapon, a fire weapon, so he fires off and the guards shoot. So it gets the first volley as they go in is soundless, and then the gunfire report happens, and the guards, I think, are killed. It's just they're Tiger Claw inspired, so they go down, and our heroes kind of have to leave the scene messy. They carry off Hound. She's wounded, but not seriously. She's just shy of that. But she's not doing so hot. So they have to go take her out. Take her out. They have to go get her some help. And that's kind of where we're going to leave this the second episode, in a state of like confusion. What happens to our friend, the Hound? So our mission is not completed. And I would say that's most of the day. We're getting ourselves to the evening from this encounter. It's probably late afternoon, early evening. Oh my goodness. Our mission isn't done. We have no experience points or IP to give our characters. They're in a rough place. They need to rethink things, but the information gleamed. Well, we'll figure that out next time. What did Hound find out before the guards attacked in our complication? Join me next time as we continue our single player mode to find out what Driver, Hound, Obsidian, and Final do to try and infiltrate this corpo security office for the Kimengumi, to try and find biometric data for one of its top members. Are they going to be able to pull it off? They may have to use the Netrunner, but they may also want to get him some sort of melee weapon too. There may need to be some preparation yet, which could create its own complications. Guys, Night City is a dangerous place, and if you're not careful, things could go poorly really quick. Thank you for watching. Let's do this again sometime. Stay cool, my chooms.